Welcome to my podcast, and first of all I want to say Happy New Year. I think some of us would be nice to see 2020 behind us. I think that's a collective sigh of release, a relief at that part. What's 2021 have in store for us? Well, to be quite honest, it really is down to what we do with it. I really do believe this. I think my life is a testament to that. So in this podcast, first of all, thank you for joining me. I want to talk about not settling for the life you currently have. You don't need to do that. And I'm going to use my life as an example. I'm severely paralysed, and I could have so easily settled for less of a life. But more about that in a moment. I'm Steven Webb, and I'm your host of Stillness in the Storms podcast that helps you to prepare and get through difficult times and have a little peace during those storms. And if you haven't already, it would be awesome if you could give this podcast a review. That would be amazing, and thank you. And it just helps it to go up through the ranks, and it helps more people hear it. And the more people that hear it, the more people it might help. And there's always someone that needs to hear the odd message. And even if it's not you that needs to hear this message today, one of your friends may need to hear this message. So sharing and giving a review would be awesome. And you can always pause it and give a quick review now. That'd be amazing. Just an honest review, a few lines. But the points I want to make, it's New Year. And I want you to have the best possible year. And I don't mean the best possible year of like going from where you are right now to the top of the mountain and achieve all your goals and have the most amazing 2021. But just move on a little bit from where we are. Very many of us. Do you know what? Many of us wanted to achieve so much in 2020. And when it came in, and even when the lockdown came in, I was like, right, I'm going to write my book. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I didn't capitalize on it. The world stopped just for a few weeks. And I know if you're a frontline worker or something like that, it didn't stop for you. But for many of us, it did. And many of us, it enabled us to just breathe a sigh of relief. The world slowed down and we can get off just for a moment. But we didn't use the time. We didn't capitalize on it. We were going to read books. We were going to get fitter. We were going to lose weight. We were going to do all these different things. I was going to finish my book and get it out. And none of these things actually happened. Certainly didn't for me. And achieving the best possible life isn't about suddenly going, right, this year I'm going to achieve everything. I'm going to be my ideal weight. I'm going to get my perfect job. I'm going to do everything I've ever wanted to achieve. And by summer, I'm going to be the best possible version of me. Well, it doesn't quite work like that. Outside world's always looking in, judging us, or that's the way we feel. And I've been thinking about it more recently, about my life. And, we start to reflect at the end of the year. And I'm reflecting on my life. And I remember coming home from hospital. And this was in 1992, coming into 93. I came home from hospital after spending 12 months in Salisbury, spinal unit. And at the time I was in a electric manual wheelchair. I did not have an electric wheelchair. My ego wouldn't let me have it at that time. I'm not that disabled. I don't need an electric wheelchair. And I was in a manual wheelchair they'd provided for me. And I was sat in my front room, just a few meters away from where I am now, a TV in front of me. And after the carers got me out of bed in the morning, they would leave me sat in that chair until after lunch. And they would come back and they would do me lunch. They would do my leg bag and anything that was needed, and then leave me there until my parents got home in the evening. And, I was about 20 years old at the time. And that was okay. We had CMT, the country music channel, country music television or something. It was quite new in the UK, so that was pretty cool. I like my country music. And suddenly with Sky, we had like 30 channels instead of 3. Life was pretty damn good. And come the weekend, and all my friends would come and get me, and we would go into town or go to a nightclub. And, my life, I got to be honest, for a 20-year-old, that was pretty well all right. I didn't have to do all the cleaning and the tidying up. I didn't have to do all the hoovering and putting the bins out that I had to before my accident. And if I continue my life like that now, and I was still now watching Netflix all day, just sitting in front of the computer doing YouTube, which essentially I do that quite a lot of the day. But if I just did that and I didn't stand on the council and I didn't do my podcast like I'm doing now, my YouTube channel, and go live and writing my book and do my blog, if I didn't do those kind of things and help as many of you as I can go through difficult times, no one would have judged me for it. They would have gone, well, he's paralyzed just below the neck. If he just watches Netflix and goes on the odd Zoom call with friends and he's just happy and he smiles and gets on with his life and doesn't snarl at every little thing and isn't really grumpy, they go, well, he's living a good life. I don't blame him. He's pretty well doing all right. But then people go, well, no, he's doing amazing because he's doing these other things. The thing is, no one would have judged me for not stepping up and doing more than what I was expected to do. Everybody has this expectation of what the level of what other people should achieve. Well, we should forget that. Forget what other people's expectations of us are. That's their problem, not yours. But we do have an expectation of what we want to achieve. And we should take notice of that. We should go, well, wait a minute. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. And I'm not really doing much of that in my life. And I know adulthood takes hold and you have children and things take a turn and we don't always achieve. But there is things you can do. There is those little things you can do on a daily basis that will help you to get closer to the life that you would like to live or the legacy you would like to leave. Those little small steps every single day that we don't tend to do. And it might be a few press-ups. It might be making a couple of phone calls, eating one healthy meal or something like that. It really, I don't know what it would be for you, but what do you want to achieve this year? How far up your mountain? Because we have a glimpse, all of us have in our minds somewhere, of the ideal life we would like to live. We often dismiss it and go, well, it's not possible for me. I don't have the money. I don't have the brains. I don't have the ability to do it. So we kind of dismiss it. But really, should we really dismiss it completely? Can we not go part of the way towards it each year? Even if we don't get there, are we going to enjoy moving towards it? Progress and peace are the two things that we really, really want. And well, freedom as well. And that's a different podcast about freedom and things like that. But we want progress and peace. And you cannot have peace unless you have some progress. And you cannot have progress unless you have some peace. So it's kind of a paradox. Not a paradox, but you need them both. And when I talk about progress, if you're sat on the sofa after a big meal or something like that and the dishes need doing, going and starting the dishes is progress. You feel happier. We feel happier when we're making progress from our current position. Whether it's turning off the Netflix and writing that one page, or we don't have to achieve everything we're setting out to do. We just have to make progress towards that. And then we feel much happier. We go to bed and we sleep better at night. Just making that little bit of progress and those little bits of progress will really improve your life over time. James Clear says that in Atomic Habits. It's the little changes that are have massive impact on your life. People often want big changes, unless they can climb halfway up the mountain today and do the other half tomorrow, they're not interested in starting. And they don't realize that everybody that has managed to achieve a lot of the stuff in their lives, they didn't do it overnight. They did it with a little bit each day. Everybody that's grown their YouTube channel or everybody that's wrote a book, none of them did it overnight. They did it a little bit each day. So, be honest with yourself, okay? Be honest with yourself. What do you want to achieve this year? What direction would you like to be going in? Do you want to be still doing what you're doing today at the end of this year? And just some of the things, yeah. But not all of the things. Not all the things. And I'm not saying go out and do anything radical like packing your job or move away or anything like that. I'm talking about decide the altitude that you want to get to. decide how much peace you want, and then work towards it. I hope that helps. The next podcast is 10 things that is really awesome about being severely paralysed. It's a bit of fun, really, but it's got a really important point to it. That's the next podcast, and the aim is to put a podcast out 11 a.m. every Friday morning, UK time. So this one here, not quite that time, but every Friday, 11 a.m. Keep an eye out for Stillness in the Storms. But please subscribe, enjoy, leave a review. That'd be amazing. You know, the podcast is about giving you some stillness and inner peace, giving you the wisdom and courage and the strength to deal with life when it sideswipes you. And I want to thank you for joining me today. You know, I'm deeply humbled and grateful. I love the feedback I get from these podcasts. And it means so much. And it means more that you get something from it. And that's the feedback I like. So if you'd like to leave a review, that would be amazing and awesome. And my website is stevenwebb.com. And it really made my day if you head over there and book in a coffee with me. I'd like to know you, my audience. I want to know a bit about you. So book in for a coffee for me, completely free, 15 minutes. And perhaps you can ask me some questions and I can answer your questions on the next podcast. Who knows? Well, the next one after the one about my 10 things that is really awesome about being severely paralysed. Take care, guys. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll chat to you again next Friday, 11 a.m. UK time. Namaste.